really appreciate you guys coming out to support a candidate that really wants to stand for what more of the progressives want here in California. We can call ourselves liberals as much as we want, but I think in the reality, especially here in the Bay Area, and especially in this cannabis industry, we really are progressives. And I don't think I've ever seen a more staunch and directly related to progression than Kevin De León. It's really nice to have someone who really stands for what California stood for in the whole world. We look at we're the leaders in clean energy, and it's not because we do it individually. It takes leaders like Kevin De León to really show us what clean energy legislation can look like, so we have an opportunity, so we can get grant money, and so we can get enough funds to be able to start an industry and get a lot of jobs here inside clean energy. I mean, for a man who fights for clean energy, clean water, and clean air, I mean, what more could we want out of a candidate that really fights for what California really wants? So to see these kind of things in a candidate, especially someone who really embodies the fight for women's rights and immigrants, also sees the necessity to allow people to have free choice. And if free choice is deciding to have cannabis in their life, well, then that's the free choice we want to make. And we're going to need a national voice inside Washington, D.C. to make sure that we have some level of descheduling and rescheduling of this, so we can see California's economy thrive inside this nation. I mean, we do have close to 70% of all the product of marijuana smoked in the nation comes from California. Well, it's hard to say that out loud because we're supposed to be within our state borders. But with candidates like Kevin, I think we can really see how we can expand California's economy into the nation and show what is good grown product throughout the nation. So I'd really like to give it up to Kevin for not only coming out here for an event like this, because we really are kind of at a dispensary. This is where stuff happens. This is where cannabis gets distributed throughout the industry. This is where this is the foundation of this industry, and we have a lot of people here who are the foundation of this industry inside San Francisco. So when we see these kind of people coming here to support a candidate like Kevin De León, I really am happy to announce someone, and a candidate who is within single digits of Dianne Feinstein, and we still have 40% undecided voters. So this is a race to the end. This is by no means any runaway from someone who's been 27 years as a candidate, and I really can't even think something she did for California off the top of my head. Maybe I should have done more research on Dianne Feinstein, but honestly, the amount of goodwill that comes from the people who talk about Kevin De León now and from his past and his history inside, President Pro Tem. I mean, we see every part of the Senate. This is something that we really need a candidate who represents us, represents our progressive needs, and someone who really wants to go into the national kind of battlefields for California and for cannabis. So I'd really like to give it up to Kevin De León. Thank you for everyone being here. This is important that we support a good candidate like this. This is the foundation for where we need to, as cannabis, have a good slate of candidates that really support our progressive needs. So if I can get a round of applause for Kevin De León.
Thank you very much. A couple things. One, I want to give a very special thank you to Jared. Jared, you've been fantastic with regards to not just your leadership within the cannabis space, not just in Northern California, but throughout the state of California, but by extending me the invitation to go to the Meadowlands, to Camp Navarro, to have an opportunity to be part of that incredible venue during the course of that weekend, that Saturday morning, give me that venue to express my perspective, my viewpoints, my vision. They've given an opportunity to represent each and every one of you in the greatest state, the greatest nation in the world. I want to say thank you. Thank you so very much. You have educated me as well too, and that's why it's so critical, because we're adults, we're lifelong learners. It's always absolutely essential that we grow as individuals when we're in positions of power to make policy. And that's why hearing the different perspectives is always so critical. So I want to thank you very much for helping to organize this event. Thank you for your leadership here in California. Let's get it up for Jared. To David Hua. Yeah. Hua. Yeah. Thank you very much. And it was a real treat to be at Camp Navarro, a few months back. I just wish I could have stayed there much longer. I gave my speech and I took off, and I had to get to Stanford University to to give a speech and stand for it. But I want to thank you very much, and also for helping to organize this event. I know that we have more opportunities in the very near future to do even more so with the cannabis industry. And I just say thank you for hosting us at this incredible event too. This is a wonderful place over here. All we need is a couple pit bulls, and it looks like, we're ready to go. But this is a great opportunity. To all of you, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being supportive of my candidacy. Now, let me say this, is that I think we can all agree that these are very unprecedented times in our nation's history. In fact, these are very dangerous times in our nation's history. And that's why we need someone on the front lines, not on the sidelines, on the issues that we care deeply about as Californians and as Americans. And it doesn't make a difference who you are and where you come from. It doesn't make a difference if you're an immigrant from Jordan or from Egypt or from Mexico or China, Japan, or from Iran or elsewhere. We're all Americans, and we're all Californians. And that is our strength as a great state. It is our diversity. We celebrate our diversity and inclusivity. In this great state, we celebrate who we are and where we come from. Now, whether you're a few generations removed from Ireland, Scotland, Wales, or the UK, or you're from China, you're from Mexico, or elsewhere, we celebrate our diversity. We don't ban it, we don't deport it, and we as sure as hell don't wall it off, not in a great state like California. We celebrate this beautiful mosaic, this rich tapestry that has made us the 5th largest economy on planet Earth. And Jared mentioned a few moments ago our values, because this is beyond politics, beyond electoral politics. It's about our values and who we are and what we stand up for on the issues of clean air and clean water, making sure that our children have an opportunity to drink clean water and breathe clean air into their lungs. On the issue of the biggest existential threat to humanity as we know it today, the issue of climate change, where it seems like Washington is logic-free, science-free, and conscience-free, California is proudly and boldly moving forward with a carbon-free future for California. And just a few days ago, on Monday to be specific, the Governor, Jerry Brown, signed the most far-reaching climate change policy in the world, committing California to 100% clean energy by the year 2045, which is my bill, Senate Bill 100. It will put us on a pathway to decarbonize our grid, a grid today that poisons our children and poisons our earth. At the same time, we're taking these environmental challenges and converting them to real economic opportunities, putting everyday Californians to work on the issues that we care deeply about: energy efficiency, distributed rooftop generation, utility scale solar, as well as wind, and geothermal in the future, and other technologies that will be created, because we're going to catalyze the private market to attract the necessary capital to create the innovative technologies that will be necessary to reach our 100% clean energy by the year 2045. And guess what? It is law. It's not an aspirational goal. We have to be there by 2045. I believe we're probably going to get there by 2035. I think we're going to get there 10 years ahead of schedule. But that's what California means to the rest of the nation and the world, because we are the largest economy on planet Earth, the largest economy on planet Earth that has legally dedicated itself to 100% clean energy. And that sends a big, strong message to the rest of the country. Issues that we care deeply about: the environment, climate change, healthcare for all, not healthcare for some. In the wealthiest state, in the wealthiest nation in the world, where we spend more money than any other industrial nation in the world on healthcare. Yet the outcomes for healthcare are disastrous in the United States of America. So it's about Medicare for all Americans and all Californians, not just for some. On the issue of immigration, as I mentioned earlier, we're a diverse nation. We're a beautiful tapestry, an amazing mosaic of different ethnicities, different hues. And that's why we have to move forward aggressively with sensible immigration reform for families who've been here 10, 15, 20, 25 years, who pay their taxes, who obey our laws, who pledge their allegiance to the red, white, and blue. They deserve to normalize their legal status and become full-fledged Americans of the greatest country on planet Earth. So that's why we need a strong voice in Washington, D.C. Not someone on the sidelines, but someone on the front lines. Not someone who's going to plead for patience with the hope that President Donald J. Trump could be a good president in the near future. And be mindful, I'm paraphrasing, but those words that were articulated by our senior senator here in San Francisco at the Commonwealth Club came 3 weeks after the tragedy of Charlottesville, Virginia. To see white supremacists, neo-Nazis, members of the Ku Klux Klan march in unison the night before with torches, saying we shall not be replaced, and the day after the tragedy of the young woman who was killed by the driver. To utter those words that we should be patient with Donald Trump, and hopefully he could be a good president in the future, shows the disconnection with the reality of what is happening with everyday Californians who are just trying to survive to make ends meet. Now, let me talk about a couple issues with regards to the cannabis industry. Because the cannabis industry, whether people like it or not in Washington, D.C., it is constitutional. And it's legal, and it's the law of the land of California, whether Jeff Sessions likes it or not, period. And that's why the cannabis industry, without doubt, is going to be one of the biggest, strongest green pillars of our economy. Along with clean energy, we'll have the cannabis industry. 2 different types of green energy for California. So that's why it is incumbent on us as policymakers to help grow this industry, to help this industry grow and make jobs happen for everyday Californians. And how we deal with issues at the federal level with the rescheduling. The very fact that cannabis is on par with cocaine and heroin is beyond belief. It shows you how antiquated the political thinking is in Washington, D.C. To actually equate it to cocaine and heroin is beyond belief. And that's why we have to reschedule. And the lives that have been lost, the lives that have been imprisoned, the lives that have been torn apart, families missing their fathers, their bigger, older brothers, who have ended up in prison disproportionately because of the hue of their skin, or what they have sold, or what they have possessed. And that's why it's absolutely critical that we deschedule or reschedule altogether cannabis. And that's why it takes a strong voice in Washington, D.C. The issue of banking, the affordability of so many dispensaries with so much cash at their disposal, and how we deal with this issue. That's why at the federal level, it's absolutely critical we deal straightforward with the issue of banking. Right now, you have the large banks of America that are talking already openly, not behind closed doors, but they're talking about openly about entering the cannabis industry because they see how much cash is out there right now. So in order to make sure that we mainstream, and I don't mean it with the pejorative negative connotation sometimes that mainstreaming has, but it's part of the fabric of our established businesses in California and throughout the country. And as Jerry just mentioned a few moments ago, 70% of the consumption of cannabis throughout the country originates here in the Golden State. Because we had the best product, period, hands down, but because of our progressive laws and the laws that we have moved forward at the will of the voters in California who have stepped up and said, this will be the law of California, this will be constitutional. That's why we have incredible challenges before us. But that's why your help with my candidacy is so vital. We can get across that finish line. Be mindful. We're disrupting the status quo. We're taking on the establishment authority. We're saying so because we're tired of the same old, same old, same old. And that's why, as you know, in the position that you have all been in, disrupting the status quo. You know, I made the joke, that when I was up in Camp Navarro, and everybody either was wearing, a Meadowlands, sweater, Marmot or North Face or Patagonia. I was the only guy there wearing a suit. you know, and I, you know, sort of kind of pre-warned folks, hey, listen, don't be concerned, I'm not a narc, okay? And a lot of folks laughed, but a lot of folks knew exactly what I was talking about. Folks who, in this case, you know, were actually the folks who were the growers, whether you're from Sonoma or Mendocino or somewhere else, you know, Humboldt. And they know that long history. A lot of folks are mom and pop, and maybe not more so at the industrial level now, but they know this long history of being marginalized and being out of the mainstream. But now we're making this part of the mainstream fabric of the business community. That's real, that's legitimate. And that's why I'm honored to have your support. You all know, because you have been in these positions of fighting Goliath, David versus Goliath, going against the machine, going against the establishment authority, the status quo, and being disruptors yourselves in your own right. This is who we are today. We're disrupting the status quo because it's not working for everyday Californians. We may be the 5th largest economy in the world, but we also know that this economy has not worked for everybody. And we have to bring everyone along with us. But you do so by moving policy with intentionality, with a sense of purpose to improve the human condition for all Americans, for all Californians, and elevating what we care deeply about to a national level, even if the Democrats stay in the minority in the U.S. Senate. To have the energy to elevate our issues to a national level, forcefully, intentionally, purposefully, will only make us stronger. From the bottom of my heart, to all of you, I want to thank you very much for your support. We're almost there. We got 60 days left. We're closing in on the numbers. However, we're not there. And they're not going to take this lightly. It's establishment authority. They spent $12.6 million, but we navigated a crowded field of 32 candidates. I even thought to myself, my God, I don't think we're going to get through this primary because there's 32 candidates. A lot of folks don't know me, so they're not going to look for me in the ballots. But we got through to the top 2. And when folks meet me and they listen to me, they said, I'm voting for you. Or, I voted for her June 5th. I've heard enough, I'm voting for you. I'm changing my vote. And that's why the resources are absolutely so critical, because it allows us to get into the social media platforms and other media venues that gets our message out and gives people hope, inspiration for a change, a new voice representing the greatest state and the greatest nation in the world. So with that, let me just say, that's why it is so vital that we remain America's exceptional example, a beacon of hope and opportunity in a very uncertain world. With that, God bless each and every one of you. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. It's really nice to hear what comes from a heart. It's nice to hear that, because sometimes you just hear people who just mask over what they think we want to hear. But I think you've really embodied what really is at your soul and your heart level, and it shows in your policy and your commitment to us. So thank you very much. This is amazing. Do we have a couple of questions, or?
He answered pretty much everything.
We were here to grill you, and then all of a sudden, all of our questions are answered. So I mean, this is wonderful.
Today's been a wonderful day. I tell you, I was telling Jared that we just got back from Berkeley, at UC Berkeley, and 735 kids came out.